Hello, Sydney. Do you like scary movies?
Hey horror and sci-fi fans, Drew here from Horror Sci-Fi Beyond, and I'm here with another horror movie review for the month of October. And today, we're going to review one of my favorite horror movies, and that's going to be Wes Craven's Scream. Last night, after work, I had the opportunity, as a lot of you may know from my video I made, that I actually went to go see Scream in my local movie theater, and it was amazing. Me and my grandma went, who loves scary movies, as you already know from my Psycho review, and she loved it too. And we talked about it, and she gave me who she thought the killer was at the end of the movie. But anyways, let's talk about some things that I liked about the movie. One thing I love about this movie, it has, in my opinion, the best horror intro ever. Just the way that it starts off so innocently. In the beginning, it's just Drew Barrymore talking to this mysterious voice about like horror movies, and it gets kind of flirty. And I really like that part when Ghostface says, I want someone to talk to, and then Drew Barrymore says, well, that's where I got 900 numbers. That was kind of cute. I like that. And I always thought Drew Barrymore was cute, even though everybody freaking calls me that. But I digress. Then just from there, it builds up when he says, I want to know who I'm talking to. Yeah, that was really creepy. And I think that's like the ultimate like, oh shit moment as an audience. It's like, oh no. And then they do the whole Psycho effect where they kill off a really big name towards the beginning of the movie, which is pretty much like the silent incident of the movie. And then another thing I love about this movie is that like there's so many clever references to other horror movies. It's, to me, like Scream is a love letter to the horror genre as a whole, not to slashers, which this is. Kevin Williamson freaking loves horror movies, especially Halloween. One reference is we're introduced to this character named Billy. We're actually introduced to him and the main protagonist of this movie, Sidney Prescott. They were going out for a while, and then they were kind of getting kind of hot and heavy. She didn't want to take it that far, and there are, of course, reasons for that, as you learned later in the movie. And he compares this to watching The Exorcist on TV when they edit out the good parts. They're at a PG relationship instead of like an X-rated relationship, which is what he wants. Him comparing like their relationship and different things to movies, that's definitely really interesting for his character, as you find out later in the movie. Probably one of my favorite references is we have this character named Randy, who's a big film nerd. He's my second favorite character next to Sydney. He's actually my favorite protagonist in any horror movie, just to let you know. But Randy works at a video store. Everybody's is renting horror movies because of this murder, or these murders are going on in this town. So there's this customer that says, what's the werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom? Really funny line. I love that. The music from Halloween is played in the background when Officer Dewey played hilariously by David Arquette. It's played in the background when he's searching the house at the end, which is really, really cool. I love that. Other references include Psycho, which is awesome. Silence of the Lambs, Carrie. Let's get to my favorite character in the movie, Sidney Prescott, who, like I said, is my favorite horror movie protagonist. I think she's so complex. I think she's multi-layered. She's three-dimensional compared to, say, like Nancy Thomas from Elm Street, or like a Laurie Strode. I think she's more multi-layered than any of those characters. This is a character that her mom died like a year before these Ghostface murders are going on. And she's suspects that it's this guy named Cotton Weary, played by a very young Levi Shriver. I think that's how you say his name. Because he thinks he saw him, like, run off. But now he's starting having doubts. And then, but then you get this character named Gail Weathers, who's the news reporter, covering this case. And she also covered the murder of Sydney's mom in the, last year. And it was a big, hot, story, as you find out in the movie. So Gail Weathers basically incites to Sydney, like, no, like, you saw somebody, like, leave your house after killing your mom, but yeah, it wasn't really Cotton. Like, it really doesn't, line up. She's very funny. I think she uses, I didn't even notice this until I saw this last night. She usually uses humor to mask her pain and the trauma. Because with these Ghostface murders that are going on, it's bringing up those memories. So probably my favorite humorous part from Sydney is when Ghostface calls her. She goes out to the front porch and he sticks her finger in her nose and he says, guess what I'm doing? Because he says that he can see her. That was really funny, and that's another one of those cute moments, like with the whole Drew Barrymore 900 number part. But another thing I love about this movie is that it made almost every character like a suspect or a red herring. Gail Weathers, the news reporter, the reason why she could possibly be a suspect is because, and they don't say this straight up in the movie, but in my mind, she could have been a suspect. She's a news reporter who wanted to create a crazy news story. Randy makes sense, and they even say that in the movie, that he's just a film buff who takes his love of horror movies a little bit too far. Neil Prescott is a really good suspect because he wants revenge on his wife's death, and also his the calls are traced to his car or to his phone, which is interesting because my grandma actually thought he was the prime suspect in the movie, which is interesting. Definitely when I first saw this movie, I didn't notice all the little nuances because I was a bit too young and I couldn't appreciate like all the tropes and the love letter part of this movie to horror movies. But yeah, that was interesting that he thought that, because I bet a lot of other people thought that too when this film first came out. Now, and then we're led to like the probably one of the best climaxes in a horror movie, because there's this party at Stu's house played excellently by Matthew Lillard, and this guy, I freaking love this character. I like all the characters in this movie, but Matthew Lillard, like, he's at 100 the whole time in the movie. So we're led to the climax. There's this party, people are getting killed. Sydney's friend gets killed. The camera guy from Gail Weathers' news station gets killed. Was actually one really favorite part of mine is when because Sydney's there watching that murder happen. When Ghostface slits his throat, and then he looks over at Sydney like real quick. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming for you next, bitch. I love that. I love that head turn. I thought that was so excellent. Whoever's in the Ghostface costume at that point, that was so great. That was so perfect. Anyway, I digress. So we learned that basically Sydney's boyfriend is killer the whole time. And he also killed her mom because the mom was cheating on Billy's on Billy's dad. And you can kind of a little bit of hint that he's coming from a broken family. You can maybe tell that his dad is a bit of a workaholic, and then again the whole thing with his mom. I thought that was pretty interesting. And again, that's something that's not like straight up. They tell you just what it is, but that's at least the impression I kind of got, and especially after I talked to my grandma about that. I didn't really kind of connect the dots till yesterday on that side of it. So anyway, he's getting revenge on that. He even brings Stu into the murder spree because he needs somebody to help him out with this big elaborate plan. Also, if you notice that towards the beginning, like a couple of scenes after the Drew Barrymore murder, that they say that Stu is going out with that character. If you notice that when Ghostface about to stab her, he kind of hesitate. That could have been Stu, and it could have been like, he still have feelings for Katie Becker, the Drew Barrymore character. That was very interesting. I thought that was very, very clever how they did that. That was very smart how they did that. The reason why that kind of breaks the rules a little bit is because Sydney should have died because of the rule of that rule, but she survives because it's with the killer. I thought that was so genius, and I wonder if that made people think that, oh wait, is Billy the killer? Like I thought that was that's always a thought I always had regarding that part of it. Now, going back to the other reference horror movie reference I wanted to talk about, I think it's before or after they have sex. I think Billy compares Sydney's trauma to Jodie Foster's trauma about her father in Silence of the Lambs. I thought it was really clever the way they did that. And it also just makes Billy more of a prime suspect on that note, which is really interesting. And I think Sydney even says you're too obsessed with horror movies, which I thought was completely kind of genius. And as you find out that, like, yeah, this guy, he's not mentally stable, probably has a bad home life. He's seeking revenge after the thing that his mom did. That's a really interesting thing that they now. Before I wrap up this video, I want to talk about my favorite character or my second favorite character in the whole movie, which is the character Randy. I love this character because he is any character or any like film nerd basically in the movie that watches this movie. He basically does this whole like classic like monologue where he just talked about like the rules of horror, and he just breaks it down like you can't do drugs, you can't drink, never say who's there. With Stu does his version of it when he goes gets another beer and he's like, "I'll be right back." I love that. So many good Stu. I think I remember my grandma like laughing a lot at Stu with his which was pretty cool. Even me and my grandma talked about this after the movie's over during the credits. Was it's kind of like how in real life how like some people can consume a bunch of like violent media and it be fine. It's actually sort of healthy with studies because it gets a lot of aggression. But there's just some people out there that are just not mentally unstable, or they come from a broken household or whatnot, and like they can't like separate reality from like a video game or a movie or and that leads me to my favorite line in the whole movie, and probably my favorite horror movie line ever. When Billy says, "Don't ever blame movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative." Love that line. That's so true. To me, if you're gonna be influenced by a movie to do violent acts, then you already have that problem. You already are psychotic. A movie is not gonna make you physically do violent acts because there's a ton of people that watch violent media on a regular basis. But anyways, guys, that's my review on Wes Craven's Scream. I hope you liked the video. I know this video went on for a long time, but I fucking love this movie. I think this movie is a stroke of genius, basically. I think it's a modern day horror masterpiece, in my opinion, as a lot of you guys may know. I hope you like the shirt. If you don't see what that says, it says, you like horror movies too. Got this off of Amazon. Really funny shirt. That's gonna be me right there when I meet my horror movie soulmate. But, anyways, guys, I hope you like this video. Make sure, you, like it, you share it, and, you guys have a good one. This is Drew from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, over and out. Bye.